These are the assembly instructions to my 3 little boxes in a box. So I have 3 boxes that go together the exact same way. So this is the lid of the box and this is the bottom of the box. And I'm going to start with the bottom piece. I'm just folding down on all the score lines. I have 4 tabs. I'm just going to randomly choose one of them and I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge of my tab. Then I'm going to fold the adjacent side so that the cut edge of that side is right along the score line of my tab. And then I'm going to go in with my bone folder and I'm going to spread that glue. This is the tab I've just glued in. So just above that tab, there's a flap and I'm going to put glue all over it and fold it over and then go in with my bone folder and spread that glue. I'm going to move on to the tab that's on the other side of that panel that I've just glued down. And then I'm lifting up the adjacent side and gluing it right to the score line on my tab. And then again, I'm going in with my bone folder and I'm just spreading that glue. I'm putting glue all over the flap that's just above the tab that I've just glued in. I'm folding it down and then going in with my bone folder again. I have the tab that's on the other side of that panel and I'm just putting glue from the score line to the edge again. And then I'm gluing the cut edge of my panel right to the score line of my tab and repeating the same steps as I did for the 2 other panels. So now I have that last tab. I'm putting glue all over it and I'm gluing the cut edge right to the tab. Then I'm putting glue on that last flap and folding it inwards. So that creates a little reinforced base for my box. So next we're working on the lid and I'm just folding down on all the score lines for my lid. So for my lid piece, I have these 4 squares and I have a diagonal score line and I'm just bringing my sides together so that it automatically folds down on that score line. I've got my thumb on either side of that little square and I'm just pushing down and it automatically collapses and folds right on that score line. The first score line from that center square folds downwards, the next one downwards as well, and then that triangle I'm going to fold upwards. So downwards, downwards, upwards on all 4 sides. So next I'm going to take one of those little squares that has the diagonal score line and I'm putting glue all over it and then I'm collapsing it to the interior, so I'm folding it so that it folds on that score line. So that forms a little triangle like so. I'm putting glue on one side of that triangle and I'm gluing it right up against the side of my panel. So I've just glued this one in. I'm going to do the same thing with the square that's just beside it. I'm putting glue on both sides of those triangles. I'm bringing my sides together. I already have this triangle that's glued up against this side. I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm putting glue all over it, flattening it onto that same side. So I have my 2 triangles folded down and glued to that side. And I'm going to flip my piece around and I'm going to do the same thing with these 2. So I'm putting glue on that square and then collapsing it. I'm doing that on both sides. As I do that, it creates a nice neat corner on my box. And then I'm going into the interior of my box and putting glue on those little triangles and gluing them down to the side of my box. I'm just pulling these sides away so that you can see what I'm doing. So these triangles are glued down to this side and those triangles are glued down to this side. So next I'm going to put glue on that slim rectangle and on that triangular flap. And I'm folding it inwards and I'm gluing the rectangle against the side of my box, and that automatically positions my triangle down into the bottom of my lid. For the next one, I'm putting glue on that rectangular part and then I'm going to imagine that I'm completing that triangle at the bottom of my box like so. I'm kind of like drawing the triangle with glue and then I'm folding downwards and I'm gluing the side in place and gluing that triangle in place as well. And make sure you get right into those corners. So I'm going to do the 2 other sides the exact same way. So now I have the bottom of my box, and the little lid should fit quite snugly on the box. So this is the large lid piece that's for the 3 boxes, and it goes together pretty much the same way as the lid for the smaller boxes. Just folding down on all the score lines, including those corner ones. And again, for the sides, you want to fold down, down, and triangle upwards. And then for the sides, down, down, and then that last panel upwards. So next I'm putting glue all over from the score line to the edge. First rectangle, second rectangle, and that outer flap. And then I'm folding my piece down so that those rectangles are glued to one another. And then I'm lifting my side up, spreading my glue. I'm doing that on the other side as well. You don't really have to put it on both, but I've been putting it on both rectangles. One of them would suffice. I'm folding on that second score line so those 2 rectangles are glued to one another. And then lifting my side up and gluing that last flap down. So now I'm going to do the ends. On the outside, I'm putting glue on both of those squares. And then on the inside, I'm putting glue half of the square, so on that triangle that's closest to the end of my box. Then I'm lifting up my side and I'm making sure that the sides meet up nicely. I'm spreading that glue and flattening those triangles as much as possible. And then I'm putting glue on this rectangle and then on that triangle that's at the bottom of my lid. Then I'm folding my side inwards and just spreading my glue with my bone folder. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm putting glue on those squares and on half of those square on the inside, the triangle that's closest to the end. And then I'm lifting my end piece up and then spreading that glue, and I'm putting glue on that rectangle and the interior of my lid, triangular shape that's created by the other panels that have been glued in, and I'm folding down. So for a lighter cardstock on a smaller box like this, it creates a reinforced, a little bit sturdier lid. So this is my base piece, and I folded down on all the score lines. Now this would have been one piece, but because I wanted it to fit on a single sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, created 2 tabs, and I've glued my tabs down onto the center of my panel. So next I'm gluing down my boxes. I'm finding the center of my panel, which is here. On 80-pound cardstock, I'd probably put a score line for positioning, but because this cardstock is a little bit lighter weight, I'm worried that it's going to show through. I'm just putting glue on the underside of one of my 3 boxes. Temporarily take the lid off. So I'm positioning this to the center of this panel and then on the center of the width of my box. And my 2 other boxes are going to get placed here. I rotated the bottom of my larger box. I'm going to put glue on the underside of both of these boxes, and then I'm positioning them so that there is approximately an even amount all the way around the box. And I'm doing that with the 3rd box. So there's the same amount here, here, in between the edge and the score line behind my box. And now I'm going to take the lids off, and I'm going in with my bone folder and I'm just spreading that glue. The lids of these boxes are quite snug because I didn't want them coming off as soon as I folded them over. So now I have some value vinyl. I'm going to decorate the lid of my boxes plus these 2 panels with the vinyl embellishments. So I've applied all my vinyl embellishments on my lids and on the 2 sides. I put a blue panel in the center and I've added my sentiment. So the box gets closed like so. So the recipient will open the box and have the sentiment right in front, and then they can open all the individual boxes like so. That's my 3 little boxes in a box.